All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on this grand global launch of the United Experiencers Initiative. We have some amazing guests here today, amazing lineup. And I just want to say this is a monumental moment for the United Experiencers Initiative, one of many milestones that we'll come across. But, for me, I feel like this is a part of history for the UEI and just getting experiencers out there to dissolve the stigma is really, really important, especially in these times. And it's time that we share the collective messages that have been given to us, which is to share love and teach people how to love themselves and love each other and take care of the planet. And I want to introduce Grant Cameron. He is going to be our co-host today. Hello, Grant.
Hello, Natalie. Thank you for everything you do and for setting this up. It's absolutely wonderful. And you're the type of person that everybody would like to have in their organization. You're like the ever-ready bunny, and you're just like serious, and you take things very seriously, and you do the job.
Thank you so much, Grant. You're amazing. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
I'm a 52-year experiencer, starting back in 1975, and I went for many years doing the president's UFO stuff. And at 2012, I had a download experience, which came with absolute certainty, and it said this has to do with consciousness. And at that point, I moved from chasing lights in the sky to talking to people who are actually interacting with whatever this intelligence is.
All right.
Yeah. And then
And
I
thank you
met
so
you.
much for all your
Yeah, and and
yes,
and then we got
some
into
weird
this,
synchronicities.
which will be part of my next book. I'm doing a book on marks, different types of marks, whether it's crop circles or landing traces, and
Mm,
you are part of the story about marks, which a lot of people in this
yeah,
group today may be familiar with. They wake up with a mark on their arm, and I always say, do you think an alien came 1,000 light years across the universe to put a mark on your arm? This means something. This is important. They pay attention.
that's right. That's right. It's breadcrumbs is what it is, and
Yeah.
I think me and Grant kind of agree on that. It's a show. It's like here's a little bit to keep you interested, but they won't give us the full picture. I like to use the analogy of the butterfly and the cocoon. So humankind is kind of like the caterpillar in the cocoon, but the NHI cannot help us hatch out of the cocoon because if they do, that would disrupt the muscles that we're trying to gain to actually fly. So all they can do is say, "Hey, you're doing a good job." Give us little breadcrumbs here and there, and say, "You've got all this stuff out here waiting on you, and we're here. You're doing a great job. Just keep going." So, but they also sent people like us down here to incarnate on this planet to help, spread the messages and to encourage people to do good on this planet. So that's a whole nother aspect of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's important
yeah,
to understand this idea of higher source coming in. That's what my latest book is called God, the Muse and the Aliens, and that's this idea about the Muse that there are people out there if you're in the right mindset that you can tap into that will actually give you some direction as to which way to go.
yep,
And the
absolutely.
problem and
And
the
it is a
problem
very, very complex phenomenon.
Yeah. And we have
Go
a
ahead.
world that is in turmoil in terms of not understanding the oneness principle. It's come down to me versus you, good versus bad, this color of skin versus this color of skin, and this religion versus this religion. And this whole idea of oneness has completely been missed, that we are like a hive, we are like a beehive, and everybody has to do what they're supposed to do, or like a human body where every cell does exactly what it's supposed to do. And that when a cell decides it's going to do its own thing, that becomes a cancer cell. And so the messages are clear. And so I look up to the people who are on here today. There's a lot of people that I know from the past that I've interviewed who are very, very knowledgeable about this whole subject. And these are the people that people have to listen to. And I think the message will get out there slowly, and it'll suddenly shift, and people will understand that we are one humanity on this earth, and that we have to work together, almost like the Norway soccer team, where they all row together. It's this idea that we have to work together, and so I'm very happy to see people I haven't talked to for many years, and that a lot of the people that are guests here and speakers and people asking questions are people who are very, very knowledgeable about what we're talking about today.
Natalie, you might want to turn the
Aaron,
microphone on.
it's yeah, sorry. Uh, thank you so much, Grant. And there are a lot of investigators out there and many people writing books, and it's important that we all have these different points of views because, it's not up to us to say who's right or who's wrong, but it's important to have that dynamic and looking at a crystal from different points of views. Because if you look at a crystal one way, you might see one thing, and if you look at it a different way, you'll see a completely different thing. So it's that's the thing with humanity is that we're able to see many different aspects and different things and different people as well. And the psychology of being an experiencer, it's very, very, very complex. And the phenomenon is very complex. You know, it's almost as if the phenomenon acts as a mirror. So
Mhm.
especially when you start going into like the astral plane or other dimensions with your consciousness. And it seems like if you have problems, that the astral plane will begin to mirror that. And the NHI phenomenon sometimes mirrors that aspect. And I think we need to do more investigation on that as well.
Yeah. And the other thing I point out, that people say I repeat stuff, and of course I do, because that's how it works. The thing like to repeat all the time is that people have to realize that we in this business that are sort of on the leading edge of this thing, the more we discuss this thing, the more the consciousness rises, and people understand what Area 51 is and Skinwalker Ranch is and all this kind of stuff, that people understand. But people have to realize that we are living almost like in the time of Jesus, that we got lucky enough to be at the center of this thing as it was taking off. And 500 years ago from now, everybody's going to know what's going on. And we will realize that we are actually in the Super Bowl. We are in the big game, whether we're the quarterback or the water boy or in the stands watching. But we're very close to this understanding that message is coming to the world, and most people live lives of quiet desperation, and they have no clue whatsoever what's going on. The people in this room today that are talking do understand what's going on. They do realize this is very important, and I think people should keep their head high and realize that whether it's a mission that they came on or whatever it is, they're doing something very, very important. Okay, so okay, Natalie's got a problem here with her mic, but we'll maybe well, we got a couple minutes to go yet. Anybody want to sort of just jump in with an idea? We got 4 minutes to go here as to
Well,
being a
I
part of this.
have a question, Grant. What do you think of the latest government disclosure? It just seemed like a lot of fluff to me and nothing substantial.
Well, if they keep going, if they keep doing a thing every 2 weeks, you're eventually going to run out of old documents and fuzzy films, and you're going to have to release something of importance. I always say that it's the wrong thing, that they're chasing lights in the sky. Everybody's trying to prove that UFOs exist. It's like, get over it. The UFOs exist. Now we got to find out what is the phenomena, and you can't, by looking at lights in the sky and by sighting reports, you cannot tell what's going on. All you can tell is that something is going on, and it's probably true. What we have to do is get to the point where we start talking to experiencers, and I don't think you're going to see any experiencer documents coming out on the government disclosure. They're all into, how's the technology work and all this kind of stuff. And you'll even if you get some experiencers will make this statement that they were told, do not go after the technology, it's a trap. and we're into this thing about money, and let's follow the money, and let's get free energy, and all this kind of stuff. And people are missing the point of why this phenomena sort of exploded in 1947, and why all these people that are on today who are experiencers are being talked to.
Right. I mean, I'm writing a paper called Disclosure is Transformational, Not Informational, which brings the experiencer um, profile into the whole field of investigation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they have a good idea in terms of trying to get disclosure, but the true disclosure is once you get convinced that this is real. We followed Dr. Eric Walker around, one of the highest level officials ever back in the 1990s, and he at one point said, "Admit it, you're just curious. Admit it. That's why should we change the rules and regulations to satisfy your curiosity? What are you going to do when you figure it out?" And that's something that all the disclosure stuff that you see today is missing the point. What are you going to do when you finally convince your brother and your sister and your neighbors that UFOs are real? Then you got to get to where the people today are. Is what is the message? What is really going on? Who are these? Who are these beings? Why are they here? And what is the message that they're trying to get across to us?
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
Beautiful. Is
Um,
Natalie still
That's
got
right.
the?
I'm good now. All
Oh, you're
right.
good now. Okay. So
Yep.
take it away. You're the star of the show here, and maybe introduce your first guest, and then we'll go from there.
That's right. Our first guest today is Susan Manewich, our first speaker tonight. She is the leader in the field of consciousness and leadership in the foundation of the IET Evolve. She is passionate about bringing science, spirituality, and human potential. Please welcome Susan Manewich.
That's me. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see all these faces here. Some of you I know, some names I've heard of, and other people you're new. Natalie, I just want to share and say thank you so much because this is what's needed. And forgive me if I'm looking up. I have a blown computer screen right now, so this is how I can see all of you at this point. So if I look up and look a little bit down, that's because I've got two screens. But, I just want to say this first. Like, Alan, you're always on point with your interjections and your comments, and especially seeing you at Contact in the Desert and how you managed and handled that panel. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because it's necessary. What do you think about the disclosure? And then Grant chimes in, and I would love to hear what Rebecca says. I think Rebecca is after me as well. Being able to have this community of experiencers and people that know about this, like we get an opportunity to take our power back. I think a lot of us have seen a lot of information that's out there. I know for myself, being a lifetime contactee, and I'll talk about that in a moment. I've watched this. I don't want to use the word but I've watched this continued steadiness of this being taken out of the hands of the people that know about this and put into the hands of more government, more official, more money, more power, more control. And I've been at that front seat of it, and I can cite a number of examples, and we'd be here late if I cited all of those. But I just want to say that this is so important, what you're doing. Other experiencer groups that are out there that are run so well. I know Rebecca has one as well, and others. This is our time. This is our time to say what has been in our hearts, what has been in our minds, and of course, the timing is so important. It's so critical at this point. So I just wanted to say thank you so deeply, and I love what you've gathered here today because it's so important. And I just want to say that first and foremost. And, for myself, for those of you who don't know who I am, I think a lot of us, some of us, kind of keep a bit of a lower profile, or we don't care to have a high profile. We just want to be able to say what we need to say when we need to say it, and move, right? Like move the information, move that from density to light. And, so a little bit about that. Yes, I'm a lifetime contactee. I remember my incarnation remember coming from source, remember zipping through the cosmos, my original instruction, and remember being in my mother's womb and knew I was back on Earth to do this little shindig again. And remembered the density part and said, oh man, no, not this place again. And, I share that because I'm one of these people that seems to come in during a time of transition and also remembered different lifetimes on this planet, I call them the big epochs of time, Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt, and some other, and I was never ISIS or anything really cool like that. So I never got that one, but I got some other things, and little pieces of information along the way that bring us to where we are today. So some of the messages that I'd like to share are from some deep contact experiences that I don't entirely talk about, but I'd like to do that today because I think this is the community of people that can handle that. For some people, just to share with you, I have a background in new energy technology. And yes, it's never been about the technology. It's actually about the morality for how we approach the technology, and technology that's in alignment with nature. That's something that my to-do on this planet this time around is that. I've also published some work in the Beyond UFOs book, A Science of Consciousness and Contact. And I also run a couple of times a week, it's called Everyday Earthing and Energy Wisdom, where we look at the changing electro and geomagnetics that are on the planet as it relates to the sun and as it relates to some of these other cosmic energies that impact our Earth. I think a lot of us here feel that. Can you just raise your hand if you consider yourself sensitive to the electro geomagnetics, right? Yep, like we came in kind of fully loaded on that, didn't we? and we feel lots of different things, and in that feeling is the wisdom, in that feeling is information, right? And Nadalee, you said this a little bit earlier, we may not know everything. There's like these little pieces along the way, and my sense is that, well, that light shines on a la via the sun, and also through this cosmic rays that can impact us, and in some of these celestial alignments that people seem to be experiencing and feeling more, and that can be a great activator for us. And I just want to ask, again, if people want to just raise their hands, has anybody felt a significant shift from yesterday afternoon to today? And just raise your hand. Okay. And still working on that one. Like, is it the solar wind that we've had in these last, 24 hours? But there seems to be, almost like again, another shift of this, the wisdom of the earth, right? Like the wisdom of the sun and this interaction as it's working together with us right now. So that is something that is very, very big. And I think like some of us have known that, again, we're at this point in time, we're at this epoch. It's another epoch. It's another big point in time right now. And, what is the job at this point? And each of us have different jobs. We have different things that we're here to do. And for myself, what I want to share, similar to, what Grant said, remembering that we are one human family, that is definitely part of these messages. That's definitely in the research in the Beyond UFOs book, is for us to remember that. And as a person who I was kidnapped as a child. It was an MK Ultra attempt that I want to, share with people. That is definitely something that it's important for us to talk about these things, to bring this to light, because this is part of this continued oppression on humanity. And for our gifts, for our psychic abilities, for what we can do, or is it something, even a little bit more challenging than that? But I think these are the things that are important for us to be able to discuss, because part of this whole disclosure is wrapped up in that piece as well. Some not so nice things have been done to other human beings on this planet, And it's so critical. And I stand here today, as somebody that I wasn't able to be taken, so to speak, by that energy. And I will be producing an article on that, because what happens when MK Ultra fails, right? What happens when it fails? So we can look at all the scary woo-woo, stuff that that has gone on, but what happens when it doesn't take hold? Well, what is it within a human being that doesn't allow that to take place? So that's some of the big learning that I think is a responsibility for some of us to come out with, for what we may know and what we may understand. And it's not about this huge mistrust maybe with the government, but it's about our power, taking our power and being able to hold that space with courage. Because yes, it's love and light, and I would say it's courage. And I think that's one of the big things that I'd like to bring out as a message here, because this is a big shift, as we keep talking about, in not allowing that power structure to come into play. For me, what I share is nothing about any of the contact that I've ever had, and it's been all benevolent. I've seen amazing things. But what I know, it's about strengthening me as a human being and to help strengthen other people as human beings. Still be in that love, but come from that place of love in a way that is courageous at every level of the experience for self and for others. And, I think we know this, but to express this, for the plant world, for the animal world, so often, the focus is on the beings, and man, those beings are right in my garden. They're in the plant world. They're in the raspberry bushes outside. They're in the zucchini that's outside. They're in the trees. They're in the soil, and that is a very, very large part of why we're here, as well. So that's just some of the messaging. I'm speaking from my heart today. I didn't do a presentation. I just wanted to share that and share that piece really from the heart, because that's primary. And one of the last things I just want to share is that, what I've learned is that we're on planet Earth. Our bodies are earthen to the soil of Mother Gaia, and that is critical to have that type of relationship. For me, this is one of the things that I hold and that I carry, and to have that grounding with the earth, to be able to have our big extension to the cosmos. And I see Cindy is giving me I don't know what that is. 5 or 5 seconds, I'm not
Sorry,
sure.
Stone and I are keeping time, so 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, I've got 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. Yes, so I just want to get back to that. So, it's one of the reasons about the electron geomagnetic piece, being able to have that connection with the earth and to feel the earth when she moves, and to feel the earth. And I'm not just talking about earthquakes. It's in the subtleties. It's not in these big flares that are occurring all the time. It's actually in the subtlety, that some of these real powerful energies are coming through. If I may, can anybody raise their hand if they can feel that feminine energy coming through the earth at times, really strong? Yeah, it's I don't even have words for it at times. One of the things that I want to share is, Rudolf Steiner talked about the return of like the cosmic Christ. And sometimes what he talked about was really the Christ consciousness. It wasn't Christ as a being. It was the consciousness of Christ in really the ether, and impacting us for our morality, allowing us to have a more expanded heart for other people, and for the world around us. So really that Christ consciousness, and I say, well, maybe where Steiner left off, we can pick up and ask ourselves, is this also, you know, I wouldn't even say the return of the feminine, and I don't mean just a female. I mean the feminine that lives in the male body as well. That yin, that's there. Is this next phase that we are becoming more apt for that connection to the yin in the earth itself. So making the relationship that, you know, we've got this Schumann resonance, the earth's heartbeat, the earth's frequency, but also feeling some of these more feminine energies that are there. You know, is she coming online more for us to be able to feel that? So again, kind of like picking up where Steiner left off, that Christ consciousness, are we actually talking about more of a yin consciousness in connection to the Christ consciousness? So, you know, I put that out there, not as a statement, but I put that out there as a possibility for us, because it really does seem that this connection to the earth is not just for females. Males are feeling this more often now, and it's guiding the heart and it's guiding the wisdom to be able to make better decisions. So, you know, we can say, well, we're a family, a human family, but when you really feel that, and being able to have the connection to the earth to feel that, it changes, right? It changes everything that's here. And I think like that's that conversation that I'd like to have with disclosure. That's the conversation that I'd like to have. And I don't engage too much in, you know, what's the government doing today and what's their latest, you know, drop of information, because I feel like you're chasing the tail at that point, and not interested in that. You know, for me, I'm interested in the empowerment piece of what we're here to do and how we're here to do it. And the last thing I'd like to say is I'm in the process of helping to put together an event, and that event is in Switzerland, and I'll put actually a link for everybody here. And what it is it's a coming together of the indigenous wisdom, the indigenous keepers, wisdom keepers, now turning into wisdom sharers, and bringing together the cosmic aspect, and having this multiple day shared dialogue, shared exchange with one another. Origin stories, for example. You know, I think some of us, because of where we come from in the cosmos, have an idea of what that may be. Well, you've got indigenous people from a number of different tribes around the world that have their own story of origin told through oral tradition, right? And a chance to come together and bring that together. And I share that because, you know, we're here to learn from each other as well. We're here to share, and we're here to also activate one another. And that is not going to be part of the disclosure stuff that you see out there. That's up to us to cultivate that with one another and to drive that. So with that being said, I appreciate deeply being here today. I look forward to what everybody has to share, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Susan. That was amazing and just so moving. And everything you said was spot on. I've been feeling the energy shift the last 2 weeks, actually, and it's been hard on my body. I'm just having to recover and just like take it easy. But let's move right along. Thank you so much, Susan. You're amazing. Absolutely amazing. So glad you're here today. Next guest is Rebecca Hardcastle Wright. She's the founder of the Institute of the Exo Consciousness. Rebecca has dedicated her career to understanding the relationship between human consciousness and extraterrestrial contact. She is a pioneer in the field of exo consciousness. Please welcome Rebecca.
Hello, Natalie. And so wonderful to be here. Thanks for hosting this. And it's good to see you, Grant. Haven't seen you in a long time. I second what Alan said. It's been a long time. Alan, good to see you. Also, Michael's here. Michael, good to see you. I just want to just express my appreciation for being invited to share what we're doing with the Institute for Exoconsciousness and the exoconscious community. I feel like I'm not only speaking for myself today, so I'm not going to really share so much personally, but I'm going to share what we as a community are doing. And people that are here that are in our community today, Susan's worked with us, Cindy Robinson, Kevin's part of our community, Kevin Briggs, Yvonne Donaldson's here, Russ Tarleton's here. So we have quite a few people here. So I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of our community as I share today. And I just want to say, when Grant said, "What do we do when we figure it out?" I would say our community is asking, what do we do as we figure it out? That's what we're committed to at this point. So if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint if that's good. Natalie, I think you have to, okay. I think you have to turn me on to share.
I think you're good to go. Did it go through?
Good. Yes. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I don't think it came on, did it?
Yep.
No, we just see
No,
a
it
screen.
didn't.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Good energy. Send good
Yeah.
energy.
You just have to go to full screen, I think.
Okay. Try it again.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, it
That's
says my screen share is paused.
that's weird. All right, let's see if we can fix that.
Let me stop that. I'm gonna try it again. I think it came on.
All right, we can see the slides. And you can just
Okay.
yeah.
And down at the bottom there, but the far right symbol there. Yes.
This.
Beside the volume, there's a little button there, a little screen right there. Oh, you just went
This.
down, 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 down. Left, right, right,
Okay.
left, down on the
The
on the bottom
very bottom right.
right. Beside the
Wait.
the little thing beside the volume thing there.
Yeah, all the way down, very bottom right.
You'll see the screen there, the big
Oh, you almost got it.
over.
Right beside the
This.
100% next to it on the
Okay.
right. Yeah, that one. You'll have to cancel that and then
Okay.
click it. There you go. There you go. That should
Am I
work.
good?
Give it a second. See if it'll go big screen.
No, it must not have clicked it. That's what you got to click though. That screen.
Is it good now?
The screen
There,
icon.
there
There
it
it is.
goes.
I
It
got
was
There you
just
go.
it's delayed. All right, cool.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
And I wanted to say, excuse me for interrupting, but so I got it big screen on mine, not as big as you just got it now, by turning it sideways. And for the first time, I saw a little square with something in it, and then that made it bigger. So if anybody else knows how to do that, that might help.
You need a 14-year-old kid here.
No, for sure.
I'm 74.
You don't count.
So as I said before, I'm representing Exoconscious Humans, the Institute for Exoconsciousness. I'm representing our community, and we are a post-disclosure community, and we believe that we are living as post-disclosure people. So the Institute for Exoconscious is the first post-disclosure organization. What that means, it's nothing real sophisticated. It just means that we're all experiencers. So we feel like we don't really need to have government come out and give us any kind of first contact information. So we're here to support co-creation between natural humans and off-planet intelligences. And the natural human part is extremely important because we believe that this is something that humans offer, that we are in a peer-to-peer relationship with extraterrestrials, multidimensionals, and spiritual beings. So I know in a lot of contact groups, a lot of experiencer groups, they talk about metadata, or maybe you've heard phenomenological examination of contact. A lot of that's going on now. What that basically is kind of a harvesting of data from experiencers to put into AI or to put into some kind of a centralized system. We're the opposite of that. We're not centralized. We're a free group that shares with privacy. And to support this goal, we seed and develop innovative exoconscious paths through the present into the future. So we are very future oriented. And the most important thing for us really is not just what our story is, but what our story has led us to become. So for us, co-creation is an integral part of being exoconscious. It's like, what are you going to do with your experience? So, you've had contact and you're working through what that means for you. And then the issue comes up of, what are you going to do with it? Like, what are you going to bring to the world? What are you going to bring to other people? As Susan was saying, strength and courage and love as a human being. What are you going to bring to Earth with this contact that you've had? So we believe actually that the biggest truth of contact is what we as a community are doing with it. If it's something that turns out to be benevolent and loving and kind and heart-centered, bravo for us. That's where we really show who we are through our works. So what's exoconsciousness? We believe that it's the innate human ability. So that means what we're saying here is that everyone has this ability. It's not just my ability or Grant's or Nadalee's or Susan's or Sarah's or Kevin's. It's everybody has this. It's an innate ability. I know for years, there's been a lot of talk about we're special people, we're chosen people. We really move away from that and talk about the fact that it's an innate ability that every human on this planet possesses. And that innate human ability allows us to connect, communicate, and co-create with extraterrestrials, multidimensionals, and spiritual beings. And we actually call them out by their name. So we don't really use too much non-human intelligence vocabulary. That was something that was really brought in by the government. We really talk about extraterrestrials, like how's an extraterrestrial different from a multidimensional experience? And how's that different from a spiritual experience? So we actually identify the beings with whom we're communicating. And we feel that that's very important.
5 minutes, 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay. I got to move quickly then. So we believe that what happens to us is really an awakening, a commitment to the development of exoconsciousness, that we accept the exoconscious reality. We don't have to question ourselves anymore. We can dissolve old worn out suppositions, fears, and inhibitions. We can create a bridge between ourselves and our expanded consciousness. We accept parallel dimensions, but we also honor our subjective experience. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly since I only have 5 minutes. So one of the things we're doing is we're creating a new timeline, the timeline that's different from war or engineered control or suffering. And we talk about sovereignty, psychic intelligence, free will, and peace. We have an Exoconscious Humans YouTube. We bring our community forward with things like the Exoconscious Inform. We have a telepathic network. I know Kevin is going to be talking about his experience as a contactee, and Kevin works with Karen here, who's in our community. Also, Aurora, she's the artist that created the Council of Eight. And we believe that we are bringing antidotes to what's kind of seems like engineered chaos right now with healing, plasma science, sovereign human rights. We do hold that we're guiding our Earth and space future and the importance of that. And so we've developed a tool called the Beacon, which helps raise the consciousness of the planet and cultivate exo-consciousness. So that's a doing kind of activity. So we are creating a consciousness tool with the Beacon. We also created the Planetary Constitution. We did that. Susan was part of that group that created this Planetary Constitution. You can find it on our website. We believe that the inclusion of contactees and experiencers in government discussions and interactions with extraterrestrials will help reduce the likelihood of conflict, Star Wars, and increase the likelihood of accurate communication, agreeable goals, and peaceful cooperation. So we have a Substack, Exoconscious Human Substack, that you can find the work that we're doing. We also have a plasma science group. Plasma makes up 99% of the universe, and we think it's important to know what plasma is as a science. I know Grush came out and started talking about sentient plasmoid life. Nobody knew what that meant. But in fact, our government's been working with plasmoid creation since 1956. And Burleson came out just yesterday or the day after and said, the intelligence community doesn't know what plasmoids are. Well, of course they do. They spent decades studying it. So we're studying it too, because we want to know the science. We also, as I said, we have a podcast and a YouTube. The podcast comes through the Substack, but you can also find it on all the podcast channels. And this fall, we're going to do an intro to exo coaching this fall to give people a chance to talk about the integrity of their contact, get some clarity around it, embolden themselves to think about themselves differently and move forward in life and create a new direction in their life hopefully with co-creation by supporting one another. So that's my email and exoconsciousness.com and Exoconscious Humans if you want to find out about our group. So
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you, Rebecca. That was amazing. I definitely want to get with you later so we can have a discussion
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
exo-consciousness and see how the UEI can help you and we can help each other make a better world.
So how do I get out of this? I'm not. Well, stop share. I got
Let's
it.
see. Yeah, there
I
we
got
go.
it.
And I think if Alan has a minute, I think he wants to come and chime in on this a little bit. He has a little bit to say if he has a minute.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. It's nice to be here. Yeah, next time I'll prepare a whole PowerPoint. But what I was talking to Grant about or mentioned is that we think, or the government wants us to think disclosure is about information. It's about hardware. It's about technology. But it's really about transformation. How do we become different human beings? And we have to include particularly the experiencer's background. What happens to experiences? How is time distorted? How is there a merging of subject and object? How is there a distortion of time and space? How do they come in and affect our minds? Well, we could look at ourselves as victims, or we can look at ourselves as potentially equal to whatever the intelligence of the phenomena is. There are people, I've been hanging out with some of the telepathy tape kids, these autistic kids, and they can enter other people's dreams. They are the next level of consciousness. Of course, they're not functional the way we think, but they have the keys to the human potential to activate the greater quality of consciousness. My favorite saying is by John Mack, who I quote a lot every time I give a talk. I say, John Mack said, UFOs are like an outreach program from the cosmos for the consciously impaired. That's us, the consciously impaired, because we've been dumbed down about the potential. This is what Grant is talking about now, the potential of who we are to use this fantastic mind of ours. We are infinite beings. When I teach remote viewing, that's the first thing I say. The mind, whatever we want to call the mind or the intelligence or this great consciousness that we are, is beyond time and space. That is infinite. And I think the phenomena, right? Stone had a great remote viewing in my class, but I think the phenomena is waking us up in a very maybe abrupt and rude awakening to the fact of who we are. If consciousness is the ground of all being, then whatever we are as consciousness is equal to whatever that intelligence is out there. They may be smarter, they may have greater technology, but we have that potential. I think this is what the exohuman is all about, activating the potential of our infinite mind. And this is why telepathy, this is why the Psi Games, I hope everyone's going to the Psi Games in Charlotte. This is the demonstration of huge, of the next level of possibilities. So if we look at the phenomena, oh yeah, there's great new videos out, look at that strange craft. That's what the government wants us to think. They want us to think it's just that. They don't want us, the real secret, the real disclosure is who we are, and the whole Western materialism, brainwashing is the real psyops. That's the thing. That's the conditioning we've been kept from realizing our potential. So I just want to say a few other things that Whitley Strieber says the phenomena is coming closer because of the realization of who we are as potentially awakened beings. Edgar Mitchell said, we'll only understand consciousness through the information that experiencers get. This is the interface. So we have to give ourselves a new meaning of the phenomena. Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book A Man's Search for Meaning, he said meaning is not, meaning is something we make ourselves. We can look at the meaning that the government gives us. Oh, be afraid from that. That's the meaning most people have. Don't go near there. Don't look at that. But the meaning we can give the phenomena is the opportunity to really be a greater conscious humanity where we know we're all connected to each other. And I'll just end with this quote. When I interviewed Bruce Lipton, he said, we are not humans until we create humanity. That's when everyone as in this human race knows we're an integral part of the consciousness phenomena. When we all work in a coherent fashion and honor each other's uniqueness, then we form the organism called humanity. And when humanity comes together and speaks with a voice of one, a synergy of awareness, he says, all the cells in your body are coming together, form this synergy of awareness you have right now. When we all come together as cells in humanity and speak with a one voice, that's when we'll really meet the other ones and form the next level of superorganism. So
that's right.
Bravo.
That's
Bravo.
right. Thank you so much, Alan. And that's why I created the United Experience Initiative, so we can come together and share those messages and help pave that way for a new world. So thank you so much, Alan. You are amazing. And thank you for that information.
I'll do a PowerPoint next time we do something.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I'll invite you to be a speaker next time. Thank you, Alan.
This is such a great community to be part of. There's things you can say here you really can't say anywhere else. And the fact that it's being accepted. And finally, they're talking about different types of aliens on ESPN. I mean,
I know, it's amazing.
We are coming of age. So
it is.
Nadalee, thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome, Alan. Thank you so much for being here. All right, moving quite along. Our next speaker is Kevin Briggs, and he's the author of Consciousness Researcher. He's an author, consciousness researcher, and lifelong experiencer. He is a member of the Exo Consciousness community and is deeply involved in the intersection of consciousness, physics, and contact. Please welcome Kevin Briggs.
Hi, Nadalee. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor to be here with all these amazing speakers, just truly amazing. So I know quite a few already, but a lot of new faces to meet. And hopefully, as someone said earlier, we can learn from one another. So I've only got 10, 15 minutes. So I'll speak briefly about my how I started in the consciousness field, as it were, as a young child, and then bring you up to the current day. And if I can do that in 10 minutes, that'll be fine. If it takes 15, then fine. So my journey started when I was 3 years old. I was lifted onto the table at home to have a photograph taken And from that elevated position, I looked around the room and realized my conscious energy was in a physical body again. That was the beginning of my journey. My second encounter, I was 8 years old. I was always sensitive to the frequencies that surround us, which I think Susan Manewich mentioned earlier. I was taking a bath at home. There was a change in the frequency within the bathroom, and two beings materialized. Frightened me to death at the time. Both very attractive, one male, one female. Their names are Ort and Dee. They are guides and teachers. They are Arcturians, and they are fifth dimensional beings. And they were talking about me, not to me, telepathically. I won't go through the conversation because I don't have time really. But the basics of it was Ort is a guide and teacher. He was going to guide me. He was going to teach me. And he was true to his word. I've had contact with him all my life and others. At 9 years of age, I was at home with some friends. And again, I felt this frequency in the home. I went into the living room and there was a conscious energy orb behind the curtain, behind the drapes, in the window area. It stayed for 5 days, from Sunday till Friday. There was no communication with it that I was aware of. It was golden yellow in colour, 4 to 6 inches in diameter, and slightly vibrating. And on the Friday, it left. I'll say no communication that I was aware of, but I suspect it acted some of my DNA. Our DNA is encoded with light frequencies, and these can be activated. From that day on, I was able to travel outside of the physical realm as a pure conscious energy of myself. I wasn't aware of the full potential then. I am now. I use it extensively as an exo-conscious human. I've developed my natural human abilities, my psychic abilities, my intuition, my knowing, all these natural human abilities, traveling outside of the physical realm as a pure conscious energy orb. At 17, I realized that nobody spoke about this. So I reached out to my guide, Ort, and I asked him if he could come and show me more. He did. He came, he took me out of body, showed me many practical experiences and examples of using consciousness itself as a conduit for communication, for travel, for healing, for education, for creation and co-creation. And I've used all these modalities from childhood because I was aware, obviously I was assisted by Ort and Dee. At 14, when I left the home to do a paper round at age 14, a UFO would already appear outside the home, then a second one. On one occasion, again, I was sensitive to the frequencies. I knew there was someone behind the wall, behind the hedge. I said, I know you're there. Can you come and show yourself? And two small greys came out, showed themselves. I asked them what they wanted. They said there was a group of people that wanted to meet with me. So to cut long story short, I went with them and was transported to a mothership where I was introduced to 8 beings. The first 2 were Ort and Dee, Arcturians, Anna, Zark, Ra, he's the leader of this group, Anunnaki, Tag, Chica, and Orla. They represent several different species within this quadrant of the galaxy. I've had contact with them all my life and continue to have contact with them. The main education has been one of consciousness itself, and as I said, how it can be utilized as a conduit for communication, travel, healing, education, creation, and co-creation. Now, moving forward to just recently, several years ago, Ort and Dee materialized in my bedroom at home here in Florida and asked me to write about my lifelong contact with them and speak about it. So I started talking about it. I started writing about it. I wrote my first book, Spiritual Consciousness, A Personal Journey, which covers some of these contacts that I had. I've now met other people that have met Ort and Dee. A friend of mine, Myakishev-Rempel, she's just written a book, Quantum Windows and Dimensions, A Christian Woman's Journey of Faith and ET Contact. She mentions meeting Ort and Dee in 2015. And Aurora Balsia, that Rebecca's already mentioned, who drew the Council of 8, which was channeled through her, met Ort and Dee in 2015. And if you look at that picture that Rebecca put up there, there's a vacant seat. And I suspect that vacant seat is there for humanity. And that's what we are going to do here, I suspect, with Nadalee leading the way. I was introduced to Nadalee because I was asked to be a contributing author to A Greater Reality by Ray Hernandez. I have a copy of the book here. And within that book, I was given an equation for calculating the frequencies of consciousness of each dimension by, I believe, is Zach. He's a scientist, an engineer, mathematician, and he gave me that equation. And it was published in that book recently. I was also given an equation for the void of consciousness and an understanding of how creation and co-creation are created from the void of consciousness itself. And when we understand that, we can create our own reality. We can create our own timelines. All past, future, and present timelines are created from the void of consciousness. It's not void as the name suggests. It's full of possibilities, full of potential, full of intentions. So that's where we're headed. And that's why I was introduced to Nadalee, because she read the equations and she understood them. So I think that's fascinating. They're giving me equations that I don't fully understand. They gave me a download. I know Grant mentioned downloads. I was given a download of the quantum unified field theory, of which I knew nothing about. So I asked them to confirm the information by showing me a craft. And 7 craft appeared outside my pool area and moved in an 80-degree change as they moved silently and slowly over my head. My wife witnessed that. And then on another occasion, they gave me the theory of everything, which Natalie is exploring to this day. And on that occasion, I said, can you just show me a craft? You've given me all this information. And a craft appeared immediately, and it flashed 1, 2, 3 times. So my contact is extensive. It's been an education of consciousness, which I'm hoping I can share with others now and work with Natalie. I've been asked by this council aide to support Nadalee in her endeavours. So that's why I'm here. I'm supporting Nadalee and the experiences community, as I do with Rebecca. I would support Rebecca with her work with the exo-conscious community. So exciting times for me to be involved. I think it's fascinating. So thank you, Nadalee, for inviting me.
You're very welcome, and thank you. That was nice and tied it up and like a laser beam. But I always love hearing your story over and over, no matter how many times I hear it. It's amazing, and I just want to say thank you so much. And you got done within you actually, because you started late. You still have like 7 minutes, but yeah, but we can keep going if you'd like. If there's no questions,
Maybe someone has a question.
I don't think I really need to. Really, I've just really condensed it. Really, it gives an overview. And if anybody's interested in contacting me, or don't forget the Greater Reality book, all 6 volumes can be downloaded as a PDF for free at agreaterreality.com. So there'll be plenty of people watching here who aren't aware of that. I'll put the link in the chat so people can get their own copies. Get volume 5, it's experiences chapters in there. Susan Manewich, there's lots of other people in there, who've written chapters, and I have that chapter in there with the equations if you're interested in the maths of these equations. So yeah, so with plenty of time for other people, and we've got questions at the end, so I'm sure we can move on.
well, thank you.
Could you maybe spell out just what's the main message you think they're giving us?
The main message is one of evolution, evolution of consciousness itself for humanity. For us to evolve and enter the cosmos as a species, then we have to understand consciousness, shared consciousness, the plants, the trees, the animals, all the other species here. It's not about the extraterrestrials, it's not about the interdimensionals, it's about humanity and our evolution.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. And we have some questions in the chat. Let's see. Allison says, does anyone else here do this type of work with children? I would love to connect and exchange ideas. I haven't heard of anybody doing any kind of work with NHI and children, but I do know some people who've written books to help children acclimate to the new future. But that's one of the things that the UEI is going to be tackling in the further down the road is getting some educational material for all ages so we can get everyone ready for the new world. And then
I would say Mary Rodwell does work with children. Kai Dickens works with non-speaking, non-verbal autistic children. But Mary Rodwell is very heavily involved with children, especially those children born after 2000.
Oh, wow. Can you send me her contact information later?
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely want to talk to her. And then Rachel says, what if you have experiences but have no idea why or anything? Well, I mean, that's kind of a hard one to answer, but you know, from what I've gathered in the research that I've done, they follow family lines. So it could be somewhere in your family, other family members could have had experiences, and I believe it's to do with genetics. I talk about genetics a lot on my live streams and different meetings, and I do a lot of hybrid teachings, hybrid genetic talks and stuff. But you know, everyone's free to believe their own information. But as we continue here in a bit, we're gonna get to Max, and he's gonna extrapolate a little bit on that genetics and more of that. But you know, sometimes I think it's just that they're checking up on us. You know, people who have come here to help humanity, who agreed to come here in these specific bodies, they're just coming to check on our bodies and give us evaluations, whether they be mental, physical, or spiritual, all the above. So, and sometimes what I've also noticed is that the human mind sometimes plays tricks, I believe, when it comes to remembering events because we'll like fill in the gaps. Because 99% of the time, someone who's had a negative experience when it comes to abductions who go into regression remember something positive in the end. So it's all about perception. And that's one of my favorite things to tell people is like everything is perception. Everything. It's all about perspective. So yeah, I don't want to ramble on anymore about that. Okay. Let's see. Let's see.
Hey, I just want to add that Cindy Robinson's in our group today, and she does a lot of work with family contact, and she's writing a book on her family's contact.
Ooh,
so
nice.
Hi, Cindy.
All right. Thank
And
you.
also, Susie Miller works with children and parents of autistic children.
All
Susie
right.
Miller.
Thank you, Michael. I need to collect these names later, and I'm gonna contact every one of these people. I'm still creating the network and expanding and connecting with people. It's an ongoing story.
Yeah, the autistic children's is an important story in terms of the fact
Oh
that
yeah.
that was the work done by Kai Dickens made it the most popular podcast. It took Rogan off the map, and that means we're actually making some progress.
Let's go ahead and continue on to Max, our next guest. Max Rempel. And Max is a geneticist and a consciousness researcher. He brings a unique scientific perspective to the conversation around contact and human DNA and alien DNA, quite possibly inside of our genome. Thank you so much, Max. Welcome in.
Oh, thank you very much. I possibly will speak about something which everybody already knows in this audience, but we are being broadcasted, so people in the audience outside might not know that. So I will start from saying that everybody on the planet, all humans are alien hybrids, ancient alien hybrids. There is no exception. There is no one who is not an alien hybrid. The aliens created us many thousands of years ago from Earth primates, and many of the alien races combining the genetics, and the hybridization program continues to this day. And in addition to ancient alien hybrids, there are recent alien hybrids which were created by the recent alien hybridization program, which started about 70 to 80 years ago. And this accelerated the speed of change of the humanity. And we are birthing the new species. We are birthing the human with telepathy. So the fate of humanity is defined by the split into multiple choices, by the fork. Either we go by the path of natural telepathy, or we go into a hybrid between a merge between human and a machine and become technologically telepathic. But that's the path which is approaching. So for us, for the humans to meet with positive aliens, to have an open contact with positive aliens, we need to invite them. the Galactic Federation, the Coalition of Positive Aliens, is still holding on and waiting for the humans to awaken and invite, because they respect the free will. So most of the contacts we had until now are done by pirates and renegades, the alien pirates and renegades who sneak through the quarantine. So once the open contact starts, it will be very different. So that is a big breakthrough, which is requires awakening of humanity and disclosure. And for that, we need evidence, we need ways to convince everybody. And for that, there is an opportunity for you, for everyone, to participate in a genetic analysis of the star seeds. That would be the evidence. Once we analyze the star seeds and show that star seeds actually have the genetic components introduced by the aliens, then that would be another very substantial piece of evidence. And it is one which is very easy to discover once you know the method, once you know the sequences. So that's the collaborative project, and Nadalee is part of that, and we are working on that. We have collected about 60 volunteers, over 60 volunteers, and we analyzed about half of them. And some of them was analyzed by 23andMe genotyping, and some were analyzed by full genome sequencing using sequencing.com. And obviously, full genome sequencing is much more powerful. And we're doing computational analysis, and we see insertions, large insertions, point substitutions, point mutations, which are rare in general population. We still need more data to publish. We need more data to have convincing evidence. And we are looking for two types of evidence. One is non-parental inheritance, non-parental emergence of sequences. So we're looking at father, mother, child in traditional biology and classical biology and natural conditions. The child always carries the DNA only from the parents. The chromosomes come in pairs. One pair is from the father, one pair is from the mother, and there is nothing else there. If the DNA was manipulated by the aliens, then we expect to see insertions which are not from the parents. And that's a very clear evidence which would stand biological scrutiny. That's the first type of evidence. And we see some of those insertions, but we need more data to actually publish it. It's still preliminary. The second type of evidence is that we are looking at population of star seeds, people with abductions, and people who remember visiting aliens, contactees. And we look for markers which are enriched in contactees, the sequences which are enriched in contactees compared to general population. So everything is funded so far publicly, either by the donors, the charities. Thank you very much for people who donated, and by the families themselves. Contactees, abductees, starseeds just pay for their DNA analysis and send the DNA data to us, and we analyze it. We analyze it for free, so we don't take any money for the analysis. It's self-funded. So the cost of the full genome sequencing analysis is $400 currently at sequencing.com. You order the kit. When the kit arrives, you send me the picture of the code on the tube. You take the brush, you brush your cheek from inside the cheek. You put the tube brush in a tube, in a box, mail it to the sequencing.com. I log in, I register, and download the data, and I tell you what I find. And then we will anonymize the data and publish scientific publications, basically showing that alien abductees have different sequences and insertions. That is that simple, and that, I think, is one of the major clues to disclosure. We already see some signals, but again, we need more. Of course, we will also do the interviews with the families, and the plan is also to do hypnotic regressions, to couple the DNA changes with the hypnotic regressions to demonstrate better the abductions, as done by John Mack and others. surprisingly, after thoroughly working on it for 2.5 years, we found that we don't expect actually alien DNA to be very alien, because we know that the aliens are our relatives, and about 40% of the galaxy is related to us, are distant relatives. They all are descendants of the Lyrans. And therefore, we are looking not exactly for non-human sequences, but for sequences which are not exactly human, somewhat divergent, somewhat not 100% homologous, but less. The path is, again, as I said, is whether we follow the natural or artificial path. And for that, we need to understand the genetics. We need to understand the vibrational biology, vibrational ecology. So one of the paths is Pleiadian path, which is basically tribal, anti-hierarchical, and it is it's kind and gentle, and it's telepathic, of course, naturally telepathic. And another part is the part of, I would say, Orion model, where the society is hierarchical. It's based on deception, and people become telepathic through merge with artificial intelligence and with the computers, with the network. And that allows for further brainwashing and creating super soldiers and super workers and different layers of society properly structured. So obviously you can see that both paths are developing, and we respect the free will of humanity. We respect the choice, but the humans need information to make this choice. And the choice of genetic manipulation and artificial creation of hierarchical society and merged with the computer is dangerous, because we know that the Greys went into that path, and they genetically engineered themselves to extinction. Basically, they lost the life force. So the humans, on the other hand, have a very good life force, very good biological health, and we need to understand how the vibration of the humanity is supported by our genome. This is the science which needs to be developed, and that's what we are developing. So what is the goal of the hybridization? It is to awaken telepathy. And now with the telepathy tapes with Kai Dickens and Diane Hennessy, we know very well that we already have telepaths on the planet. My estimate is that it's about 1 million telepaths on the planet, and this number grows as people are awakening to telepathy and learn telepathy. And these telepaths are connected to a telepathic network. And we know from lots of experiencers that when normal humans are visiting the planets or being visited by the aliens, the telepathy awakens in them. So we are already genetically capable of telepathy. So the question is, what's the point of doing the hybridization and modification by the aliens if we already have telepathy genetically enabled? And my answer is that the telepathy in humans is inhibited by culture, by integration in the hierarchical society, by the dominance and fight and fear. Fight and fear are inhibiting telepathy. So the genetic manipulation is breaking that inhibition, basically prevents people from actually being able to inhibit the telepathy. So that's my explanation. And from that, we conclude that possibly the majority of telepathic autists are actually alien hybrids. It's kind of obvious once you think about that. And therefore, we can combine the data from autism research. Mainstream autism research produced a lot of data on the sequences and genetic modifications in autistic people. So we can combine that with starseed research, and that probably will give us a big clue what is done by the alien hybridization program. Also, we are in telepathic contact with aliens, with the positive aliens, and it's called channeling. Channeling is just a subtype of telepathy. So we're in channeling contact, and I have been privileged to work with many great channelers. So we did a lot of conversation about the approach, the goals of hybridization, about the hybrid children, about their plans for the contact. So what we know is that the contact is being prepared by them, and it is prepared in many ways, and it is approaching. Obviously, there were many hopes that contact will happen in the 60s, 70s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, and 20s, and finally we're here. But still, there is a lot of evidence that it is actually approaching. One of the main developments is development of telepathy. So once we get the critical point of telepathy, once we get enough telepaths on the planet, that would be one of the major factors. And one of the ways telepathy is helping is because telepaths can read minds and can see through deception and can see through brainwashing. So disclosure and awakening of humanity will be greatly helped by telepathy. Another factor is fast development of AI, and I think it's the major factor. It develops every week, every month, and humanity becomes smarter, much smarter with that speed. And at some point, that will greatly transform the society.
That's right. All right, we got about a minute left. Sorry, I didn't tell you.
Thank you. I'm close. I'm close.
Okay.
So one of the reasons the aliens cannot come here is because humans don't believe in them. If they learn about the aliens, then it would be much easier because we are in artificial reality in a collective game where the belief is allows. So when people know about the aliens, that will allow the aliens to actually appear. Also, one of the factors, so the contact is coming also through hybrids which were implanted here and were born here to human parents, and also by the hybrids which were born in alien worlds and ships and bases and are implanted here in the positions of power in the corporations and in governments. So this has been prepared. So once the contact is here, it will not be missed. It will be huge. It will be positive. And the major conclusion from that will be that there will be formed a coalition of Earth governments. It's hard to believe, but it's coming. And that the wars will be stopped. And the alien will provide technological support to stop the wars and prevent future wars. And the power, the energy of the people, the focus of the work of the people will move from making the weapons to ecological restoration of the planet. And that will, by itself, awaken the telepathy. And the major outcome of that would be, I have like 30 more seconds maybe. The major outcome of that will be that the humanity will birth a new species, will birth a new species. Now we call it Homo luminous. And this new species will be silent and telepathic and physically as capable as humans and also highly telepathic. And the way it will be formed is through visitation. The hybrids will land on the planet and will stay here. Humans will travel to the galaxy, and there will be marriages and natural hybridization. People will just merge, and there will be choices of individuals. Which races do they want to hybridize with and have families with? And that will create a species which is coming, and that's very close. And the final point is that work on actually creating a new species, transformation of the planet, should be educated by actual analysis of the hybrids. So that will be the future science. That will be the major direction, the mainstream stem of the science to analyze the genetic transformation of humanity. And I invite everybody to participate in that. You can find me on maxrempel.com, and Starseed Genetics, you can volunteer and share your story and register in a database, and also you can send us the data.
Thank you so much, Max. That was amazing, as always. And I just want to say that's kind of how me and Max met. We came to the same conclusion about the hybrid DNA and that lots of experiencers have alien DNA, but everyone in society, like the majority of the population, has alien DNA, but there's a small percentage who has a little bit more, and me included. But it doesn't make us better than anyone. It just makes us more suited to do our jobs when we come into these bodies. But there's a whole thing. We'll get into it here in a little bit when we have more time, when we get done. I'd love to extrapolate on that. But let's move on to our next guest. Thank you so much, Max Rempel.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Dan Harary. He's the chairman of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance and the publisher of the Wow Signal News. He has also been a powerful voice in bringing disclosure into the mainstream media and entertainment. Welcome in, Dan.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Nadalee. Congratulations, Nadalee, for putting this together. When I met you last year at Contact, you were talking about how this was going to come about. How do I get my picture on the big screen up here? Can I do that, or is that something that you do?
It should be. I think I could spotlight you. Hang on.
I see Max up there. There I am. Well, now that's too big. I'm not that good looking. I don't want to see that.
You're okay. You're handsome. You're good.
I don't want to see that. Oh my God, now I'm looking at myself. Hi, Alan. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Michael. Hi, Kevin, people that I know already. How are you? Nice to see you all. I mostly want to talk about what I've been doing lately, which is my Wow signal. And for a number of reasons. A year and a half ago, my daughter and I created the Wow Signal.news. Please, everybody, write this down. The Wow Signal.news. Every Monday, we put the latest disclosure, UAP, experiencer, science, the latest news from around the world every Monday on the website. And then every Thursday, we send out that news culled into a newsletter, and it goes to maybe 300,000 people around the world in the last year and a half. It's become very popular. 2 months ago, we had to start charging for it. It's only $2 a month. And if you guys could subscribe and help me out at $2 a month, it would be a great help because there are expenses involved with it. And I'm plugged into so many groups like Danny Sheehan's group and Alan's UAPedia group, obviously, and Rebecca's group and Michael's group. And Nadalee, I want to talk to you more about doing more with you. What I would really like to do, and I do have a story to tell you about one of my experiences. I'd really like to start getting contributions from experiencers for the Wow Signal. And what does that mean? Press releases about if you have a new book or a film or a documentary or an event that you're doing, a guest opinion column about, for example, I have a column every month, and my next one will be how disappointed I was in the Spielberg movie because I thought it was awful. So an opinion, press release, and then your real life stories. If you want to write your real life stories and you need a place to publish it, send it to me, and you'll get feedback from all over the world. We have readers all over the world, Europe, Canada, Australia. So write this down. Editor at thewowsignal.news. That's me. Editor at thewowsignal.news. It'll come to me. Please, my daughter and I are trying to get this more. We're trying to spread the word about this more. I'm plugged into so many groups and people and Contact in the Desert, obviously, Conscious Life Expo. So I'm very, very proud of the Wow Signal. It's a tremendous amount of work my daughter and I have done in the last year and a half, and I really want it to grow. And some of you already are regular contributors. And I'd really like to share that with the experiencer community at large. So check it out. Consider subscribing. It's only $2 a month. And send me your stories and your articles and your opinions, because I really would like to start featuring, Avi Loeb and Danny Sheehan and Steve Bassett and Paul Hynek and Ron James and Ron Shaddix. They're in there every week. But I'd like to get more of the experiencers. I'd like to have it'd be a privilege for me to give a voice to more experiencers. So that's the first thing I really wanted to say. I was thinking about what I really wanted to talk about experience-wise. I'm a 4-time UFO experiencer. I've talked about these stories all over the world for the last 3 years. What I want to talk about today really is my third sighting, which was 18 years ago last week. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately. It was 4th of July weekend, 2008. 4th of July weekend, 2008. I had a girlfriend at the time. Her name was Barbara. She was a writer for television. She and I went up to the Isetti Ranch, James Gilliland's Isetti Ranch. Some of you probably know it. Some of you may have been there. I recommend it highly. James Gilliland had a three-day open house at his ranch, July 4th weekend, 08. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So he has, I don't know, I'm going to say maybe 200 acres of weeds out there. There's trees, there's weeds, there's Mount Adams in the distance, and his home, and there's nothing else. And there's nothing else there for miles in any direction. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, during the afternoons, James had erected a big white tent on the property. And during the days, people like Nick Pope, I believe, was there. David Childress, I think, was there. William Henry, I know, was there. Different people were giving lectures and seminars about the pyramids and the crop circles and the Nazca lines and orbs and Betty and Barney and all the great stuff that we all know and love under a big white tent in the afternoons. And then at night, we all did sky watches. And this, as far as I know, in 08, I don't know if the term CE5 had yet been coined, but we were doing CE5 there every night in 08. So during the afternoons, there was lectures, films, seminars, and then the Friday night, we went out into the field, about 200 people. There was a big campfire. People were singing and playing guitars and tambourines, dancing around the bonfire. And we would look up at night, and now Mount Adams is right in the distance. And Mount Adams is one mountain downrange from Mount Rainier. And Mount Rainier, of course, is where Kenneth Arnold had his 9 UFO sighting in June 47. This is the cousin mountain, Mount Adams. So that first day, Friday, lectures and seminars. Friday night, we look up in the sky, beautiful crystal clear sky, for hours and hours and hours, 200 people, and absolutely nothing happened. Okay, that's fine. Then the next day was a Saturday, and it was the same thing, and Nick Pope or whoever it was, and films and seminars and lectures and panels under the tent. And then at night, we had the bonfire and the guitars and the singing and the dancing and looking up. And at the time, I had one of those old home video cameras, the heavy kind with the VHS cassette. So it was pretty heavy. On my shoulder for hours and hours and hours. And, your neck really hurts. All of you know this. Your neck really hurts after about 5 hours of looking up. It's not comfortable. So Saturday night, absolutely nothing happened. Okay, fine. Now, the third day was a Sunday. Lectures, films, seminars again under the white tent. Made the fire, the guitars and singing, with looking up at night, Sunday night, for about maybe 2 or 3 hours, absolutely nothing. And here's where the story really starts. At that point, I pulled out my car keys. There were 200 cars on James's parking lot. I pulled out my car keys. I said to my girlfriend, Barbara, I said, Barbara, if we leave right now, we can beat the rush. We can beat all these other cars back to the hotel. As soon as I had the keys, literally had the keys in my hand, I had put the camera on the ground, of course. As soon as I said that with the keys in my hand, a huge black craft came out from behind all of us, maybe 200 feet in the sky, maybe, and blocked out the entirety of the sky. Black craft. I thought it was a joke. When that first happened, I said, "What the hell is that thing?" I thought someone was doing like special effects with a remote control. It was a Hollywood special effects movie. I did not think it was real. I thought it was a prank. I really did. And then this big thing just hovered. It just hovered there and stayed there, and we're all looking up. And then in the middle of this craft, there was like this crystal dome, and it lit up in the middle of the bottom of the craft. And I don't know what shape the craft was. I couldn't tell. It blocked out the whole sky. I don't know. I'll never know what shape it was. But it blocked out the stars. There was this bulb, and the bulb went zzz like that and lit up. beautiful, very bright, dark emerald green color light inside this dome crystal bulb thing. And that you could almost, when it went, you could feel it go up your spine. It was like electricity. And then that green light then shone down upon us. We're 200 people looking up, like from the X-Files, when you see they're looking at a craft and they're all bathed in white light. We were bathed in emerald green light. And it was like this: light, 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 light. It was like Morse code. And as that was happening, and I swear this is true, and some of you may have similar experiences, and talk about telepathy, I heard, not in my ears and not in my brain, I heard the following messages in my heart. In my heart. And the messages were, hello, we're here. We know we're late. We're sorry we got tied up. We know you've been waiting for us. It's great to see you. We love you. Don't be afraid. We love mankind. Everything's fine. Be kind to one another. Be kind to planet Earth. We have to go now. We can't stay long. We just wanted you to know that we love you. And we've been here for a very long time. We have to go now. Okay. So all of that was from the green Morse code light. Now I've since learned that green is the heart chakra color, right? So I didn't know that at the time. So they were talking for me anyway. I literally, and I could still feel it now, 18 years later. It was communication into my heart. So then the light went back into the dome, and then it went buzz again. It turned off, and then the craft just very, very slowly moved away, and then bang, zoom, and it flashed and it disappeared over Mount Adams. Now that was the third of my 4 UFO sightings, but that was the most interactive one. And after that, I was crying. People were crying, and we're all hugging and kissing each other. And could you believe that? And I said to myself, well, obviously we're not alone. That was not a Chinese weather balloon. That was my father invented drones for the army. That was not an army drone that my father invented for the military. That was them. I know it was them. It couldn't be more obvious. And that's my interactive story. It made me feel really wonderful. It made me feel more lighthearted in life. It was a very uplifting experience. I remember it vividly. Again, I can still feel it now in my heart today. And I think I became a better person. I've become a nicer person after that experience. A to Z, that whole thing couldn't have lasted more than a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But it was a profound moment in my life. I'm very glad it happened. I know what you all said. I've never been on board a ship. I've not been abducted. I don't have any implants that I'm aware of. I've not been impregnated, as far as I know. I've never met an alien, as far as I know, other than in a dream. But I consider myself an experiencer because they spoke to me. They gave me a message. I don't know about the other people there. I'm not in touch with that girlfriend anymore. I don't remember what she said. But that was a very powerful event in the history of my life. And that is in part why today I run the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance and run the Wow Signal News. I'm a communicator. I'm a Hollywood publicist by trade. That's how I make a living. I'm a storyteller. I am one who gets information and delivers information to the world. That's my role here in life. And for whatever reason that event happened to me, it helped thrust me into ufology and to be friends with all you incredibly wonderful people. And, quite often, I don't think I'm in your league, most of you. Some of your experiences are far more remarkable than mine. But I like to think I'm in the ballpark. Maybe I'm not playing ball. Maybe I'm up in the stands selling hot dogs. I'm not hitting home runs like, Camille Harmon, who was impregnated, or people like that. But I am an experiencer, and I'm proud of it. And I'm very fortunate. It was a wonderful event. And I'm glad it wasn't like, we're coming, we're going to kill you, we're going to eat you. You have 8 days to live. Get your affairs in order. Say goodbye to everyone you love. I mean, that would have been bad. That would have been really quite awful. So anyway, that's really all I wanted to say today. And then again, don't forget my thewowsignal.news. Please go there, check it out, and send me your ideas, because I really would like to hear from you guys more often. That's all.
Thank you so much, Dan. That was amazing. I always love hearing that story. Like
it's a good one, Natalie. It's a good story. You got to admit, it's a good story.
It is. I got to hear it in person too in California.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I've told it a few times. I have. Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much for everything you're doing for the UEI and for all of Disclosure, the whole community. And you're doing a great job. And I appreciate you, and the Federation appreciates you.
That's good to hear. Thank you. Now, if only my mother, Danny, it's enough with the aliens. It's enough already. There's no aliens. Okay. My 92-year-old mother, God bless her. There's no aliens, Mom. Okay.
Yeah, she'll understand.
Someday. I hope she lives long enough. I want to see Disclosure. I want to see Disclosure happen.
Even if she doesn't, she'll meet them on the other side, because we know the whole phenomenon is mixed, and ETs communicate with spirits. So
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. All right. So I think we have a little interjection here. I think Michael wants to hop in, and I just want to give him a little shout out. Him and his group, Beyond Being Human, helped host the pre-launch, and I just want to say thank you so much for that, Michael. And I'm going to take Dan off the big screen. All right. It just zoomed in on your face. That's funny.
I don't know why it's so enormous. God, it's frightening.
There we go. All right. Thank you. And welcome in, Michael. What do you have to say today?
Well, thank you. And it's really great to see that this is actually happening. And, when we first talked, I was very excited and introduced you to Grant and a few others here. I'm glad to see Grant's co-host. But what I wanted to say leads on from what Alan was saying and what Grant touched on as well. Well, to preface it, I've recently been doing a survey of what's happening on the streaming platforms in terms of media and disclosure, and looking back at all of the TV series and movies and whatever, there is an absolute prevalence of fear-based media. Very, very little positive media. I mean, there is some amongst our community. We're putting out the positive messages, but it's actually incredible how pervasive that fear base is. And so I'd just like to encourage everyone, as we do in Beyond Being Human, to keep that message up front and compassion and kindness. I sent Nadalee a message from the Dalai Lama this morning that he's put out. Like, that is a central kind of thing. But recently I watched a program on Netflix, which started 4 years ago, called Heroes, which is based on exposing or in some ways promoting, but in many ways denigrating beyond being human kinds of gifts or gifts of spirit, like telepathy, precognition, or telekinesis, and many other things. And it unfortunately starts off fairly positive in some ways, and then goes really deep and dark. And like, these are the sort of messages. It feels like a psyop, as you were saying, Alan, that we need to be afraid of this. And I know the work that Rebecca's doing, and Zenka at LightNet, and many others, all of us here, we're countering that. And it's really, really important. And yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Michael. And I completely agree. I see what's going on now at the White House and Congress and all of that, and everything you just mentioned is the left brain concept. And what we are is the right brain concept of the phenomenon. And when we bring them together, we create that balance. And like, oh, maybe it's not all bad. There's some good stuff to it. So the thing is, experiencers are not at the table of disclosure. Nobody's hearing our messages and hearing what's been told to us. And it's it's really sad, but that's why the UEI exists now. And we're going to get louder and louder and louder until we finally are heard and acknowledged and dissolve the stigma around being an experiencer. And, you know, when I did the booth, I did a booth recently at a convention. I had people coming up to the booth crying because that validation that they had nobody to like say, hey, you have a place to be validated and to be heard. And they finally felt seen. And that was just one convention. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when we start doing more around the world in different chapters? And it's going to be a movement beyond anything you can imagine. And we're going to overshadow probably the government at some point and the whole nuts and bolts aspect of this. And they're going to be like, whoa, there's so much more to this. But it starts somewhere, and it starts right now, right here with this conversation. So thank you so much, Michael. All right. So moving right along. Next, we have Jennifer Jurkofsky. I hope I said your last name right. I've been trying. I've been trying to get that one right. Jennifer is registered psychotherapist. Actually, I have a different intro here to read for you. Let me bring it right up. All right. It says, Jennifer Jurkofsky is a how do you say that? Psychotherapist?
Psychotherapist?
Yes, spiritual counselor, author, and host for The Love of Mystics with Beyond Being Human. She also serves as the Canadian Special Advisor for Human Development and Interstellar Contact, Readiness with Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact, where she supports psychological and consciousness preparedness for peaceful interstellar engagement, a lifelong experiencer. Jennifer is passionate about helping bridge the worlds of mental health, spirituality, and expanded consciousness through her book, The Lyran Legacy. Her podcast and her professional work, she encourages a thoughtful dialogue, healing, and greater understanding as humanity navigates a time of profound transformation. Today, Jennifer joins us to share one of her original poems. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And Natalie, thank you for putting this all together, and for everyone who is here. Just listening to each speaker, I found myself resonating with so much of what was shared. And even right from the beginning, what Susan had shared about how many experiencers never expect to find themselves speaking publicly about these experiences. And I know that feeling, especially in my field. There was a lot of hesitation about speaking up, being a mental health professional, and holding that space to be able to go, no, these things are real and they're happening, and these experiences need to have a space held for them. And I've been an experiencer for as long as I can remember. I have childhood memories of seeing all kinds of different things. And for so many years, much of that journey was just deeply personal. And like so many of us, I spent a long time trying to make sense of the experiences that didn't fit in the worldview that I was being raised in. And over time, I began to realize that staying silent didn't feel true to who I was anymore. And it wasn't because I felt like I had the answers. If anything, I had more and more questions. Every time I learned something else, it was like, okay, I'm realizing how much I don't know. But I felt that I needed to be part of the conversation. And that was also when the book came through. So I wrote The Lyran Legacy, which came through actually, Dan, to what you were saying. Dreams absolutely are forms of contact, because that was the first time that lifetime and the whole Lyran history came through for me. Started in dreams, and then it became more in conscious waking time. But it was a really interesting thing to have it start to come through that way. And so, through all of the work that I do, I keep coming back to the same intention, right? It's just helping us build understanding and compassion and readiness. And I love to be in a community that is doing that, with so many incredible people that are really taking that initiative forward. Yeah, I really believe that we're living in an extraordinary time in our history. And these deeper questions, to what everybody was talking about in terms of disclosure and all of that, true disclosure is what's happening right here. Right. These are the kind of experiences that we share that are bringing the truth of what contact is all about. all of the other stuff, a lot of smoke and mirrors, and yeah, there is something to, some of that, but for the most part, it is the day-to-day experiences because it is the people that are going to make any contact possible. If we aren't, as a global community, open to all that we are, we're not going to be able to meet disclosure in a way that is going to really bring us back into that remembering. And that truly is what the poem is about. It's about remembering, connection, and hope. So thank you so much for inviting me to share it. This poem is called I Remember the One. I remember before the name, before the form, before the fracture of light, I was the all. Endless, edgeless, a silent song without a singer. And I chose, oh, I chose to become, to ripple into many, to scatter into stars, to forget just enough to feel. I am Lyran breath, wild, golden, origin fire. I am Syrian tide, deep, ancient keeper of sacred flow. I am Mintakan light, clear memory before the fall. I am Arcturian vision, geometry singing itself into form. I am Draconian flame, fierce, sovereign, primordial will. I am Pleiadian essence, soft, radiant frequency of unconditional love. Different faces, one essence. Different songs, one voice. I am the many remembering the one, and I came here to earth, to density, to gravity, to the exquisite weight of a body that aches and laughs and longs. Here time drips, moments vanish. Everything I touch pretends to end. But I remember. I remember the infinite inside the temporary, the eternal inside the breath, the whole inside the fracture. This is the paradox that I carry. I am everything, and I am this. I am bound, and I am mukta, free beyond form. I walk in duality, holding unity like a sacred sun in my chest. And love is the choice that I make again and again and again, not because it is easy, but because it is true. I choose love in the shadow. I choose love in the forgetting. I choose love when I cannot see the one. Until I can. Until I do. Until I remember that every face is my face and every heart is my heart. Every being a doorway back to the all. And so I am here, stardust in skin, infinity in form, the one pretending to be separate, just long enough to love its way home.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That brings me to tears every time I hear it. I want to put it up on the wall and just frame it because that's like the best poem I've ever heard in my entire life. Like it is just so moving to the deep inside the soul, deeper than the bones. That just amazing. Absolutely amazing. There's no words for it. There's no words for it. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's oh goodness. It was like source itself was flowing through you when you wrote that. Am I not right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
It really was an incredible experience having it come through. And I find everything that I've been privileged to write, whether it be the book or the poem or anything that is connected with the allness of what we are, just the amount of love that always comes through with it.
Yeah.
And to be able to tap into that. So thank you for inviting me to share it.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much. Again, that was absolutely amazing. I think everybody else agrees. Let's see. All right, so next we're going to play a video from Jennifer Jurkofsky. Sorry, Jacquelin Smith. You're Jennifer Jurkofsky. Jacquelin Smith couldn't be here today. So she's a lifelong experiencer, certified hypnosis practitioner, and the author of Star Being in the Mirror. She has been communicating telepathically with star beings since childhood, and tonight she has a very special video presentation and star being blessing for all of us. And then after that, I believe we're gonna open the floor up and we'll have a discussion with everyone. And it's going to get interesting. And we'll talk about the UEI and where we should go in the future and how experiencers can help humanity. So let me get this video up for you.
And I wanted to share some of my experiences that I had on the ship when I was a young child. I was on the ship starting around the age of 3, and those who I call my star parents, they're Zazu and Amitha, is their names or frequencies. And I had a great time on the ship, learning a great deal. I was in a group with other children. There were 8 of us. And on the ship, we all learned how to communicate telepathically with each other. So the star beings were teaching us how to develop our skills with telepathy. And some of the things that we got to experience were being able to sit and think of, let's say, an animal or a plant, and we would then project that onto a screen that the star beings had. And so they were teaching us how to focus and how to send those thoughts with ease. So all of us in the group actually communicated telepathically, even though a couple of the children were from other countries. We were able to understand each other telepathically. And we had one wonderful experience where, well, a number of times, where the star beings would create balls of light, and we would play catch with each other on the ship with these balls of light. And then what they taught us to do with the balls of light was to then how to create what we wanted to from that ball of light. So they would put a ball of light in our hand and say, well, create what you would like to create. So again, it might be a dog or a cat, something along that line. And then we were able to mentally shape it into an animal and project it onto the screen so we could see what we were creating. So they were actually teaching us the basics of how to create from light, which was just very inspiring to me. And my whole life I've communicated telepathically with star beings and animals and people and rocks and trees and everything. So it's a wonderful skill, and we all have that skill, by the way, to communicate telepathically. also we had an experience of being in a bubble of light that was projected outward from the ship. So the 8 of us, along with the star beings, were in this bubble of light in mid-space, which is mind-blowing to think about, right? And they were teaching us about energies, about the other planetary systems. They were showing us Earth, and they were preparing us. They told us they were preparing each of us for our own specific missions on Earth. And the star beings were saying how much they loved Earth and that we were part of a program to help support Earth, to help open people to star beings, that, you know, people on Earth are not alone, and also that we are all love. We are all one. There are key messages always about loving ourselves, loving each other, loving the world, loving the earth, and that all beings are of equal importance. And so when we send love, let's say to a tree or a person, we're sending love to ourselves, and we're sending love to the planet and all beings throughout the star systems. So those are just a couple of experiences on the ship. I wanted to share a light language, a star language blessing. And this is from the many star beings I was on the ship with. I was on the ship with mantises, Arcturians, zetas, tall white zetas, angels, a wide range. So this is a blessing from them. Lokura kale itana, soita na haya, norokure itana hala kliaka, mohuata na hala, ike na takia kakaya, musa aye na haya, usui na kalia kataha, ikiriki atana na hata, usakali, umakare ikelelakata, usu umalali nakuruta, Raki ideta jaku Allah kala ita ika kohua ishka ina kata ola katakita umahala italahan makosu ma'u anaka umakalala'i asha. So this is a blessing for everyone listening. This is about opening your heart. These frequencies will help to open your heart and to help lift your frequency and shift your DNA up as well, to feel much better. So thank you so much for listening.
All right. Wasn't that beautiful? So amazing. I love Jacquelin. All right, guys. I'm going to read one thing here from the Dalai Lama, and then we'll continue and we'll let everyone speak. We'll let everyone come up. You can start raising your hands here momentarily, and we'll talk amongst ourselves about the UEI and disclosure and the world and experiences and all kinds of stuff. And I can't wait to get into it. I'm so excited. So this message is from the Dalai Lama on his Facebook page. I didn't know he had a Facebook page, which is kind of intriguing. It was a thank you message to everyone, sent him lots of love and healing energy. He says, now some of these words in here, I'm going to try to pronounce, so just bear with me. I would like to thank you all for your greetings on my 91st birthday. Oh, it's for the birthday. Okay, for his birthday. As I mentioned to those gathered here in Leh Ladakh, India on 6 July, when I look back on my life, I see that the core of my practice has been to be a benefit to others. That is the altruistic motivation with which I wake up every day. Spreading compassion and kindness continues to be my life's primary mission. Such an attitude is essential to making our world a better place for everyone. I therefore call on my brothers and sisters everywhere, both young and old, to practice warm-heartedness and compassion with genuine concern for the well-being of others. To be able to do is, I believe, what it means to lead a meaningful and purposeful life of service. As you may be aware, following a successful medical procedure on my left knee in New Delhi last month, I have since been recuperating here in Ladakh. As in past years, I find the climate here at this time of year well suited to my health, and I therefore plan to remain in Ladakh for the next several weeks with my prayers and good wishes. Dalai Lama. So sweet. I hope to meet him one day. All right. I think the time has come. We're going to open up the floor to everyone. Let's see how many hands we have tonight. All right. I'm going to change it to where I can see everybody all at once now. All right. Wow, what a full house. We still got a bunch of people in here tonight. Let's see. I think Sarah Sue will go with actually I think Marie she had her hand up first, I believe. We'll go with Marie and then we'll go with Sarah. Hello, Marie. Welcome in.
Good afternoon. I'm having a little technical difficulty, but we'll figure it out. It's all good. I'm a part of the CE5 Ambassador Program. I've been involved in the phenomenon for 9 years, and I want to shout out kudos. You have done an amazing job. I am a friend of Nadalee's. I've watched her grow. And what an amazing journey. You have gotten this off to the ground and the consciousness. And I, I'm kind of a stickler for the knowledge book. And that's, Nadalee may know what I'm referring to, or anybody that's involved. That is the fourth order of the Lord with consciousness, UAP, and it came out of Turkey, and I read it every Tuesday. And it's been called a cult, and then I've been called a cult leader for being and gone against the grain about believing in UFOs and pushing this movement with the Stephen Greer side. So that's kind of how I got my footing with being in the CE5 protocol, the puja, Sanskrit, and attending. And I've done 9 years, so I just now kind of attend Zoom meetings with Pat. And I may go back to Texas where we had a lot of experiences for 4.5 years of camping out once a month and seeing the phenomenon with meditation. And I do believe with frequency when we connect in love that they see our pure heart and will show themselves. And it's just been an interesting ride. And I just want and the background, so y'all don't know me. I'm showing myself in my birthday suit, kind of, no makeup and everything. This is me. I normally have my hair look like Bella, the hair.
You're beautiful. You're fine.
Anyway, but the sunflowers were my first. I saw UFOs when I was 17 years old, sitting parked in the driveway, and the kid, um, Neil, he was a Star Trekkie and really into it. And I do believe because he was constantly channeling the phenomenon, they came to his window because that's where the light came. So my first contact was with my first husband and sitting in the driveway, and I was ready to run into the lights, and he was so terrified and was like, "They're going to take you," and because he knew Neil did this. Now I'm gonna make this real short. So then in 2002, 4th of July, right before like the third or the second, ET Let's Talk, Costas, he has my documentation of the phenomenon showing himself as we were moving from one house to another into my parents with my daughter who was barely 10 years old, and the car stalled out, and my very first cell phone, the very first Sprint phone, if everybody remembers that, it wouldn't record. It all went down, and I still have to this day in my memory how it affected her. Going, oh, look at the colors and the phone. Now, I don't know if it was reverse engineered. I don't know, but it was just so strange to be so low, and then it hovered and then took off. But she was so affected the next day with when the phones were working and recording camera. I have just this tiny little pixelated phone picture of her going, "Mom, Dad, pretend role play," and knock on the door and just open after three taps up. And we had Siamese kitties with the big bad ears, and she banged on the door. They're here. They're coming after me. They're after me. And it's the third time we open the door. She runs in. She puts her back up. She goes, "They're after me. They're after me." And it was so cute. And then she opens the door, and the little Siamese kittens come in for the tuna flakes. But that's how, it was being oppressed, being called a lunatic or crazy for the phenomenon. I have gone against the grain. So this is where I'm at with this. And I'm so glad back in 2023 when we've gone to Congress and brought this out. So I'm Marie Kennemer, and that is all I've got to share. Thank you, Nadalee. An amazing feat you are doing. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you. I just want to say a couple things before we continue. I love all of you guys so much. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. I have so much unconditional love, and it's just, I just wish I could hug every one of you right now. And I try not to cry, but we're gonna help the world. We're gonna come together and help the world and help other experiencers. And then once we help other experiencers, they can start helping the world as well. It's a movement. We're locking arms together, you know. So let's continue on. Let's see. I believe Sarah Sue was next. I hope it puts these in orders over here. I don't know if it puts them in order of hands raised, but I hope so.
So first of all, you can hug me, Nadalee.
Hello, welcome in.
Well, thank you, but you can hug me. I'll hug you back. I had a few really quick things. First of all, Ellen, you had said something and then it seemed like you left, and I left a message on there, but I don't know if you saw it, giving you my information to contact me because I would like to talk to you.
Okay.
If you need my information,
Yeah.
I can give it, and also Nadalee can give it to you. When I was 15, I lived on a lake, and there was a spacecraft that came down in the middle of the lake, but the lake was drained because they drained it every 2 years so people could work on their docks. So it was drained, and it flashed this big light right at me. I was sitting at the piano playing in a big picture window. And then when I would yell upstairs for somebody else to look out, the light would go off. And I'd wait, and then it would come back on. And this went on for a while. Finally, I ran upstairs so I could show them out the window. It would not come on. So it was specifically meant for me. But I also heard that there was, on the ski bus, I heard, and I was 15 years old, I heard that somebody else had seen a UFO in their backyard. So I knew it was in the neighborhood. So in any case, what somebody told me later, that it was possibly they were contacting me for the future. And because there is no time on the other side, this may be the future, because somehow I always find myself in these groups. So in 1982, I had a health food store. Well, someone came through and saw my flyer and said, "Well, I came to meet you, but I have to go interview this guy, and I'd like you to come with me. His name is Ed Palmer." And the guy who said that, he was writing a book on UFOs. And at that time, there had been over 15 million sightings. And he ended up staying at my house and giving me the manuscript copy. Unfortunately, I don't have it now, but he took me to Ed Palmer's, and Ed Palmer and I became good friends. He was in his late 70s. I was young, I was 30. And he told us his story of being taken up on a spacecraft, and that he was traded at 18 months old, that he was really an alien from somewhere else, and that he His blood was a little different and his DNA was a little different, but they took him on a spacecraft. They told him what planet he was from. They taught him cosmology and cosmogony, and they took him to the moon, to the dark side of the moon. And the spacecraft went down into a crater full of water. And in the center was a group of a population of 85,000 people that worked on spacecraft for our solar system. And he brought back a rock, and NASA believed him because they knew there was water on the dark side of the moon, but they hadn't told anybody, but they had seen it with their satellites. So I've heard his story a few times, and he also was the co-author of The Hollow Earth. Okay, so you'd think, well, that could be a crazy story, except there I was in San Diego at an auction, totally unrelated, and I overheard someone talking about how they had been asked to go and work on the spacecraft in the moon. And when I started talking to him at first, he didn't want to talk, but I assured him I was safe. And he said they look for people that don't have bonds. So I felt that was important, an important lesson. And so that they can leave the planet and go to the moon. And so anyway, that I just wanted to share all that.
Thank
and
you.
I think that's all I need. So anyway, I would like to talk with you, Max. And Dan, you also. And I enjoyed everybody's talk. I just wanted to say thank you. And thank you, Natalie, for putting this together. It's monumental.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So next we have Stone Hobbit. Welcome in, Stone. Come on up.
Hello, and thank you. Thank you for putting this on. Thank you for putting this together. There's a lot of work involved in this, and we are the disclosure. You know,
That's
this
right.
this is why I'm supporting this, is because we all have both sides. We've experiences, and we've had to become researchers. You know, you start researching, and before you know it, you're starting to have these experiences. I come from a lifelong experience, which still hasn't stopped. My main one that I have, I mean, I've got a lot of different ones, but the main one that I have are the orange plasma spheres. And I can't tell you how long I've been in connection or had them in my life. They've just always been there. But it was basically 20 years ago, and they started really coming in mass and teaching us to communicate with them. I'm not talking just myself, it was my family, it was anybody who came near us. They morphed into humans, and they made full-on contact, and they're very much like the ones that Kevin you express, you know, the ones that you have encountered. I have footage. I have I don't know how many years, but through communication with them, they have shown me that it's when we move the veil. What is the veil? Everybody said, what is the veil? As soon as you change your perception of what it is, the veil is, it becomes lighter until it's not there anymore. And with telepathy, this is where they've taken me. They've shown me that telepathy is it's not just one stuck form. There are many different types of telepathy within the dimensional forms of communication. So you don't have to just be hearing voices in the head. It's picking up senses. It's connecting with everything around us. And if you're willing, it's going to show itself. As soon as you take away somebody else's limitations, man, the amount of things that are going to just show up, they will appear. If you are wanting to see these beings and stuff, if you are right with yourself, and for me, it comes down to the inner standing. Because when you are looking after you, and this is your adventure and your journey, and you know your boundaries, you start listening to the voices that are coming in, and you start realizing you've been communicating this whole time. and these beings, you know, you've got some that their telepathy is they can communicate with 6 or 7 different types of species that all use telepathy, but that's just one of their languages. So we're learning all of these different languages and senses and abilities with the interaction that we've been having with them since day they decided they wanted to get interfering with our genetics. So I'm Stone Hobbit, and I'm a lifelong experiencer. I know quite a few of you guys in here. I've done remote viewing with Ellen Steinfeld, and there's heaps. But I just would like to say thank you to each and every one of you for being you, for stepping forward, for standing in your authentic truth, and keeping this experience real. Because this is how we come together and we go, well, these are the commonalities. We actually have something going on here, and we are so much more than somebody else's stuck state or limited, states that they've been brought up in. So thank you, everybody. That's all I'm going to say. I look forward to connecting with you all in different ways, because there is so much more that's going on with us. So thank you for being part of this adventure. Thank you, Nadalee, for doing this, and everybody else, thank you.
Thank you, and you're very welcome. And this is just my life's mission. If I'm not doing this, then I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing on this planet. It's like an itch that I just have. It's just I still don't feel like I'm doing enough. But I think we all have that feeling sometimes with ourselves, and we just have to be patient and love ourselves and give ourselves time and space and love. So next we have Rachel Robinson. I think she wants to come up and say something. Rachel, are you there? Let's see. Let me ask to unmute. There we go.
I'm sorry, guys. My technology messes up so bad around me. Like, I've had my phone on the charger all, like, this whole meeting. It's only gotten to 14%. Like, crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I'm Starlight from TikTok. I'm the one that you invited to come here tonight. So,
Oh, nice to
I'm
see
so
your
glad
face.
you guys. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys made this. And, yeah. Because I've had experiences and things, and I just joined the CE5 today. I'm just gonna try it. And then, yeah.
And I'm so
I've
proud of
had
you.
thanks. Yeah, that's one thing about it. I've had the experiences. I think I've been like lifelong, but I became aware of it in 2021. And then, like, at least a month ago, they let me remember a sick experience. I'm sorry, I have kids. Okay, but basically, they let me remember a ship experience, and that was the craziest thing. Because, like, it also, I have, like, those dream state memories. So, like, before I'm, like, waking up, I will also get, like, downloads. Just downloads. I think I showed you that download, but I don't know if I did. It was like a Tesla coil and how the energy was working with the earth and
Yeah, I think you
spinning it
showed me that.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like stuff like that would just like come down and download into me. But I'm trying to, like she just said, we turn into researchers.
Yeah.
That's where I am right now. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. I'm so happy for you to start your journey and begin remembering things because, that question earlier, someone asked, how do you know if you're an experiencer? It's pretty much what they asked. Well, so the thing is, they suppress a lot of our memories, and then people ask, like, why do they suppress our memories? Well, I've been told directly it's because we're supposed to know what we're supposed to know when we're supposed to know it. Otherwise it's going to be disruptive for our lives, and they don't want us to be completely just like losing our mind and wanting to go home, you know, because the more I remember, the more I want to go back up there with them, and it just makes it harder to be here to do this job. So everything is in due time when it comes to remembering your experiences, and I do think there may be a time when we just all remember everything all at once, the leftovers that would be great, but I'm not saying that as a fact. but that would be amazing. Actually, I'd like to share something before we move on, and I'm going to talk about what the future holds for the UEI. But I want to talk about I had a flashback today to one of my experiences, and I haven't shared this with anybody yet. And I watched the full disclosure, Experiencer's full disclosure, and I found it quite interesting, and there was a lot of information in there that I haven't heard before. But as I was watching it, I didn't take into account that, like, oh, maybe I'm gonna have some flashbacks, because I started like doodling and like drawing while I'm watching this movie, and then I draw a block, and in my mind it started out as like one of those children blocks with the letters or the numbers on them, right? You know, you play with the old blocks. And
Yeah.
then the memory started coming back, and it was a metal block, and I was like, wait a minute. And then like I had to like pause the movie, and then more stuff started coming through. I'm still processing this, so just bear with me as I may get emotional. I remember in a playroom. I was in a playroom and I was really young. I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. And I was playing with these metal blocks, and I was on the ship, and everything was white and smooth. And there were other children there. Some human children and not so human children were there. And I'm going to bring up a picture. I made a reenactment today. There was this girl there. She was a hybrid. She had blonde hair and big blue eyes, and I still know her today, and she's all grown up. And that's why I got so emotional, because I didn't realize I've known her my whole life. Um, let me share that image now. And that's her. She was communicating with me telepathically, and like she was just interested in me, and she wanted to be my friend, and just that's all I really remember. But I remember that connection, like a friendship, and I think that's the first time we met. And I remember her. I have met her as an older individual now on the ship. I have flashbacks coming back from that time as well, and um, it's very interesting because I don't really talk about this part of it too much, but I can't have children, but I do have hybrid children. So there are surrogates up there. They do carry my babies, and when she grew up, she was one that carried my baby not too long ago, actually. So yeah, there it is.
I love that. I love that experience, and I definitely want to talk more to you, like in private, about some experiences that I've had.
Absolutely. And I'd love to talk to you more about it. And that's the thing, it's hard sometimes for us to share these scenes because they're so emotional and complex, and I'm still processing that one, honestly. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just had this connection with her. Anyway, let's continue. So all right, let's see. Someone in the chat, Allison Hartman asked, she said, tell us more about the local chapters and what's next for the UEI. Well, what we're going to be doing is, first of all, gathering the people. We have an app that we're working on. We're going to be releasing it very, very soon for the UEI members to get into their own chapters and communicate with each other properly. So when you join the app, you're going to be put into your chapter with everyone automatically, so there's no confusion. And you can request to be in other chapters as well simultaneously. But we're going to start getting to know each other within the chapters, and after that, we're going to start doing cleanup crews. Just something real simple. We're going to go out and pick up trash. And I know that doesn't sound too exciting, and it sounds cumbersome, and you know, it's work. But the thing is, we got to take care of the planet. that's one of the collective messages that we've gotten, is that we need to take care of the planet, and setting a good example is a good way to do that, and just taking care of the environment, planting trees, all kinds of different things like that. And then we're also going to start hosting experiencer groups at like local libraries and different places that we can have meetings at. And we're going to post up flyers everywhere and be like, are you an experiencer? Would you like to come talk with other experiencers for the first time, or just listen? Just to let you know you're not alone. They don't have to talk. And then we can do presentations for other experiencers. So there's this analogy that I like to say. It's like if you have two people in a grocery store, and the person behind you will never know that you're an experiencer unless you say something, and then they're going to be like, oh my God, I'm an experiencer too. So there's so many of us out there, but they don't know that they're not alone. So that's why we have to start speaking out and putting out flyers and doing different gatherings like that. And we're also going to do community gatherings with like food. People love food, right? Humans love food. They always gather around food. Honestly, food is like one of the best things on this planet. I could get lost in a really good plate of nachos. But yeah, we're gonna get some fundraising going, and do some food, give some food out to the local community, and have everybody come out and talk and mingle with the community, because we've lost that over the years. Did you know that the human was not meant to survive alone? That we were meant to survive in a community. So we need to bring the community values back, and start to get people to communicate with each other and their neighbors. There's people that don't even know their neighbors. There's people all locked up on their phones and trapped in the technology world. And it's like, we need to break free. We need to go out, breathe the fresh air, share some chicken legs, or whatever, vegetables. It doesn't matter. So yeah, and then we're gonna like maybe do some interactive games with people, while all the while educating about aliens. And most importantly, we're going to be doing local contact meditation. So we're going to be teaching people how to make contact in groups, and then we're going to take people out to remote places or wherever and do meditations, contact meditations, so we can have them have that experience. But we have to make sure that they're ready. So we're going to like coach them to like do homework, like love themselves more, say good things about themselves for a while, and just kind of get them on that right track of good mental health and spiritual health. And then when they feel ready and they have no fear in their hearts, then we'll take them out there, because we don't want to take people out there that are afraid. That there has to be a process to this. So we had to be very slow and careful and meticulous about it. So are we going to make shirts and hoodies? Yes, Rachel, we're going to have a merch store at some point in the near future. Hopefully it'll be the world's largest experiencer merch line. Can you imagine all experiencers having the UAI symbol or anything like that, and say, hey, I am part of something. I exist. I have had experiences. And, but the most important thing with that is that we have to understand that we're not better than anyone. And if people think that, we just need to remind them, be like, hey, we're not saying that we're better than you because we've met extraterrestrials or whatever. We're saying that you are capable of doing everything that we're doing. You're capable of loving yourself and changing the world. And we're just a peace group, pretty much, spreading peace and love and education. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Christine. Christine said, I love your plans. Thank you so much. All right. So does anybody else want to come up, or I think we'll start the after party now. I think that would be a good place to stop the live stream on YouTube.